There are over 2,000 non-native species in Britain, and they've been introduced naturally and by human activity. Of these, 10 to 15% are invasive species, and this means they cause harm to wildlife and the environment, but also to human health and our activities. Once these invasive species establish, it's really hard to eradicate them and control, and can cost a lot of money. Some of the negative impacts of these species include outcompeting our native wildlife for space, food, and light, but also they can introduce disease. Specifically around boating, it can block our inland waterways, preventing us from navigating through, and it can also increase biofouling on the hull of our vessels, our infrastructure. The other issue is it can cause risk of suspending boating activities on our inland waterways, and this is exactly what's happened with some of our sailing clubs. An example location of where an invasive species has been discovered on our sailing waters is Grafham water. And the Environment Agency discovered this species along with the landlord, and they were working with the sailing club to encourage them to put in place biosecurity measures to prevent that invasive species leaving the site, but also new ones arriving, because they felt that sailing activities had contributed towards these invasive species arriving at this water body.
In 2010, we were the unfortunate people who got to be the first club to get an infestation of killer shrimp. The first thing that happened was all sailing stopped for a couple of weeks whilst we worked with Anglian Water to find out what we should do to try and prevent the further spread of the killer shrimp around the country. In that time, you weren't allowed to take your boat off the site in case it was infected, and that meant that not only could we not sail here, we also couldn't sail anywhere else with our boats. So it reduced some of the club's revenue for a few weeks whilst we worked out what we needed to do. And then with Anglian Water's help, they helped us fund this sort of large concrete area that you can see behind me, and these water bowsers that allow us to connect a lot of pressure washers to allow us to pressure wash the dinghies as they come off the water if they're going to leave the club. We need to encourage people to understand that it's not just our problem. We happen to have the killer shrimp, but there are plenty more invasive species out there, and any one of these can cause a significant headache for your club. Cleaning the boats off, it takes 2-3 minutes to clean each boat, which isn't really very long compared to the amount of time it will take your club to sort out an invasive species if you bring it from Grafham to your club.
As you can see, Grafham Water Sailing Club have put in biosecurity measures to help their members and visiting sailors wash down their equipment and boats to prevent the species leaving or arriving at their site. We want to prevent this happening at other sailing clubs across the UK, and we encourage you therefore to put in place biosecurity measures to help your sailors to check, clean and dry their boats and equipment to prevent the spread of invasive species.